Okay, so the next stage, after we've sewn the pockets to the lining and the pockets to the outer, we're going to sew the two gusset pieces. So what we're going to do is we've got a rectangular piece for both the outer and the lining, and we're going to add these two side pieces. So right side to one of those with a centimetre seam allowance, I'm going to start and reverse and sew along there to attach to one side of the gusset piece, and then I'll add the other piece right side down to the other edge, and we repeat that with the outer as well. So I'll sew that and then show it you all together as one piece. That's our next step. So yeah, I've done right sides together there. So open that out, and that's becoming a longer gusset bit, and I'll just now add the other side and get that sewn with a centimetre seam allowance. So that's the outer one now also done, hold along the bottom, and I've got the lining one. And now what it does suggest to do is you can push your seam allowance towards the base and just top stitch sort of 0.5 centimetre to hold the seam allowance down. So if you have got quite thick fabric, it might be a good idea to do that. If you are using oilcloth like I've got here, which is trickier to sew on, which you could use your walking foot to do it, to stitch on top, you might sort of not necessarily need to do that, but that is an option if you want to do that for the next step. So what that is like I said, press your seam allowance towards the rectangle, needle in, and reverse, and finish and reverse. 0.5 centimetre, like I said, the edge of your foot there in from the edge, just to hold that seam allowance over to the base there. So if you want to also do that on your base for your outer and your lining, but it is optional, that one. So once you've done that top stitching, you can just put those to the side for the moment. So just to make sure, in case I haven't gone over the straps, you can either use pre-cut, pre-measured made webbing. If you're using the polypropylene, the plastic type webbing, you'll want to just fuse the ends of it with either a tool that does just do that, fuses it, or a lighter. If you're using cotton webbing, you don't need to do that. So if you are using pre-made straps, you can just get those cut to length. But just a note on making the handle fabric straps, which does go through with the instructions. What you'll do is you're just folding your straps wrong sides together, and then that central crease you fold in the raw edges again, and then fold it over, and you've got the width of your strap is now 1/4 of that width that we folded in, and you'll just top stitch down both edges, the folded edge and the open edge, and you're just leaving your ends of that strap unfinished because it just gets attached in the top of the bag. So that's our next step, and then I'll move on to attaching the gusset to the main panels and the lining panels in a moment. So what we will now do is, if you fold your gusset pieces here that go around the side in half and mark with a pin, you can do one side at a time. So I'll just do this edge here, and then what I will do is get my lining piece here. So if I fold that in half, I'll start with the one without the pocket on there. So fold that in half and mark that with a pin as well, and then open that out. So that's the center there. What I can now do is match the two pins together and then pin to join those. And what we're now going to do is just pin it all the way round this side so it reaches the top there. So if it's easier, what you can do is just pin also the top edge of this side of the gusset. We're doing one side at a time, and then you know that you've got to, between that central point and the top edge here, of your bag, you've got to just ease this gusset in to fit round that curve to there, get some pins in place, and then do the same on the other side. So I'll get that pinned and then the other side, and then show you that. So you can see here now I've eased this all the way around this side here, plenty of pins in, and I'll sew now with a centimetre seam allowance. It's sometimes easier to sew it this way up, so you can just keep an eye that it's not going to get caught or puckered where it sort of goes round the curve there. So I'll go from the top and then all the way back round to the other side. If you prefer, you can do from the top to the middle and then the top to the middle there. And what I would actually say on this one without the pocket, on the pattern it talks about leaving a gap down the side. I've always left bags, other ones that we've done before, leave a gap in the bottom. I find is easier. So if you leave about a 15 centimetre gap in the bottom, so it's plenty to turn through. So in that case, it is easier to sew from the top round to that point and then the other top round to that point. When we come to attach the other side with the pocket, we won't need to leave a gap. So that's to attach those. You will also do the same to the outer pieces. So if you have used oilcloth, it's just a little bit trickier to sort of ease round those curves, and with the outer one, with both sides adding to the gusset, you won't need to leave any gap. It's just in this one piece of the lining. So I'll get that sewn and talk through that again in a moment. So now I've sewn all round that side in the base and left a gap in that one. So the next bit will be to get the lining piece with the pocket and match it up around the other side. So I'll get that all pinned here, and like I've said, don't need to leave a gap in that one. So again, find the center of your base panel there. Let's do that like this, and then match it up there with the center, the other lining panel. Then I know I can ease this side round here and this side and the other side back there. We'll get that all sewn together and then move on to the outer. So what I've done now is I've sewn both sides of this onto the gusset there. So you can see this side's got a gap, and this side with the pocket I stick all the way around. So that can be put to the side until we sort of put on the magnetic snap in a little bit. So then the next thing to do will be to add the gusset to the outer. So again, finding that center point there of one of the panels and marking that there, and then the same with the gusset. So fold that in half and crease, and then match that up here. So then we just ease it round both sides there, and then we'll do the same on the other side. So I'll sort of sewn that, just show it again on the camera, and then it will be the straps and the magnetic snap. So I've sewn that side on all the way around, and again find the center of the base, the other side of the outer, and the center of the bottom there of the other side panel. Those up and pin all the way around and stitch that in place. So now that I've sewn the outer as well round to the gusset, I can turn that the right way round. It's a bit tricky when it's the oil cloth. So I've now fiddled and turned this outer the right way round, and you can leave your lining inside out for the moment because we're going to add the magnetic snap in a second. So with your strap, whether it's the ready-made strap or your fabric strap, what we're going to do is position it at the edge of the bag there on the front, hanging down, and you're just going to stitch close to the edge to hold it in place. So just be careful not to sort of attach it with the strap twisted. So I just sort of lay it down like this to check it's not twisted when it lifts up, and then do the same on the other side with the other strap. And again, we'll sew close to the edge there. Hold that in place. In place for now. So get in place. Start and reverse. The other side, reverse. Pull that out and your threads, and then do all 4 sides like that. So that's all pieces, the strap sewn in now, hanging down on the front and hanging down on the back. So that can now be put to the side. And then I think next week we will put the magnetic snap in and sew all the way around the top.